communication, alright? The only communication between Helston and Mullion was the horse bus, and they went 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays and Saturdays. They left Mullion at 10 o'clock in the morning and got to Helston about 12. Then they left again at 4 and got home at 6. And for the hills here, they always, one bus went Poldew way and the other down past your way, Peter. And they always sent the 3rd horse to meet the horse at Chiponge down your way and Poldew Bridge the other way to help them to get up over the hills. And that was how we travelled to Helston.
What about the time?
The first day school was at the top of the village where Mr. Rowden's motor showroom is. And this one here was opened in 1900. When we moved from up there down here in 1900. We built at Pedanic Manor. No, it's all right. And the buildings, if you go down there, you see the buildings are built that way, and that way. And that's where the monastery was. And they've still got the cobbled walk. And the bishops and the bishop's walk, they call it. And there's some old stoops there in the garden that used to be in the monastery. Now, can you remember that? Well, the coal came to Greek by boat. And from, all right, I won't read too fast. Yeah. And every Saturday morning, the youngsters here would have their donkey and shay and go to Greek to collect the coal.
Their donkey and what?
Shay, S-H-A-Y, which means 2 wheels with some wood across.
Yeah.
And that was the shay. And if they could get 5 bags on their shay, they had it for a penny a hundredweight cheaper.
Hang on.
All right. The coal was 1 shilling and 3 halfpence a bag. Got that?
What was the price?
1 shilling and 3 halfpence a bag. I don't know how you would say it in present day money.
Well, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
This is all old time stuff.
Yes. Now, when I was a little girl, about 70 years ago, we used to have a concert in the reading room every Monday night. The British Legion Hall, it is now. Everybody paid a penny. Got that down?
Mm-hmm.
And the money was used for the upkeep of the hall. All the local people took part. They sang or played a violin or piano or did a Cornish reading or something like that. Put on the floor, you can want it there.
You've got to read all this out again for Peter.
Pardon?
You've got to read all this out again.
You know what he's doing. Don't you, Peter?
Yes.
Now, what
No,
else can I tell? I
you
told you
read
about the
it.
shops.
You read it just now, it came in there, didn't it? What? You taped it off just now, didn't you?
Yeah.
As you were reading it.
Yes, and I'm typing this now.
Yes. So he hasn't got a radio again. Well,
Is there anything else you want to
well,
know?
you will though, from that.
Can I tell you anything else now? Because really now you're...
Mullion had its own brass band.
What you do listen to used to know is Mullion Cove, 2 barley and 1 wheat. And listen to the places down there, they're called Craig Mills. Do you know there's 1 or 2 little places down there called Craig Mills, called after these mills. And there were cottages in the cove. Thatched cottages right down in Mullion Cove. I suppose I shall find that either, if I try. Repeat it.
Yes, please.
In the old days, people used to make their own candles. There were no oil lamps, and these candles were made from lamb fat and drawing cotton. They used to soften the fat, roll it, and put the drawing cotton down through with a needle.
Just like the ordinary candle.
Just like an ordinary candle, but that was their only
much more
lighting.
crude.
My great-grandfather was the only man in the village, apart from the parson and the schoolmaster, who could read. And once a week, they used to have a paper from Penzance about the Crimean War. And they used to go down to his old cottage. He lived at Troon, in one of the little cottages that's no longer there. And the men from the village used to go down, and my grandfather used to read to them. And my father used to stand between his knees and hold this said rush candle. That was the only lighting they had. And Granny used to make, my great-grandmothers used to make the candles also.
Nance Mullion means Valley of the Mines. All houses in Mullion have thatched roofs.
It's the 3rd church on the site. The first one was 6th century. And this one is 14th and 15th century. There's a wall plate in the church that tells you that the tower was built in 1500. And some of the floor is the original floor. It's ashlar, A-S-H-L-A-R, 9. And they have lost the secret of how to do it. And so when they replace it, they have to replace it with cement. They're doing that to the piece now that has worn off. The tower is 1500. That is built of granite and serpentine. And there are parts of the older church there. In the tower, there is the dripstone. That's the stone that goes like that round the west door. You know the west door, the one facing the road? Yes. And that's from an older church. And up above that west window, there's a very old crucifix, carved granite. And there's God the Father behind the cross, holding out the arms of Jesus on the cross. And then there's Mary and St. John at the bottom, the 2 figures you usually see at the bottom. Those are both from an older church. And another thing from an older church is the door on the north side. That's an 11th century door. And they made the door by putting wood one side, one way the planks went that way, the other way that. And they joined them together with great nails. Now the 11th century door has wooden nails or studs, and the other door, the east side in the porch, is as old as the church, and those are iron ones. And in that door you'll find the dog door. That's been screwed up now because it's the hinge and the wood are very frail and will break. The screen replaces an older one. That was started in 1924, and then a part was added about 1931, and the top piece on the right-hand side was finished in 1961. But if you look, yeah, you know right? If you look at the north side, where the Lady Chapel is, the panels there, except the door panel and one to the right, are all the original ones which were found buried into the north aisle. And they've been taken up, cleaned, and used again. The people who made the screen and did all the modern woodwork is a firm called Herbert Reed, R-E-A-D. They used to be at Exeter, and now they're at Topsham. The pews are 15th century, 15th century, and the ones to look at particularly are the ones along the front. You know where the lectern is?
Yes.
Well, they're facing the lectern. You've got the... Right, there's the lectern. And the ones here are to do with the crucifixion. There's the chalice and the host. And then there is one with the hammer and the pincers and the nails used in making the cross. There's another one with a spear and a sponge and 3 dice. There's another one with the 5 wounds of Jesus. There's a beautiful crown of thorns and a cross. And there's also one that doesn't look very... It takes a job to look at. It sort of squiggles like this, but if you look carefully, it's rope with knots in. It was the scourge, only that's worn much more than the others. And then here is Jonah and the whale. That's the fish curled around the man who's like that, sort of, like that, inside the fish. Every single one is different. The ones along the back are very well worth looking at. There are 3 pairs, and not only are there the figures on them, or the leaves, or whatever they've used, or sort of dolphins and seahorses, but the design around the edge is old, and they're different too. Now, what else is there? Oh, the glass. By the way, the pews were covered up at the time of the Commonwealth, and not uncovered until about just over 100 years ago. And there's some old glass in the East End window. You can tell that because it's the light faces. If you go outside, you can see that they look kind of opaque. That's because they've been pitted with the weather. And the rest of the old glass, the little pieces, are put up in the window in the tower, up at the top of it. They're lovely colours. Yeah. You can tell it's old because originally the churchyard was circular, or roughly circular. You know where the War Memorial is?
Yes.
Well, now that piece used to be the garden of the inn that used to be where the Blue Monkey is. And that it was exchanged for another piece of ground to put the War Memorial there. Otherwise, the wall went round more in a sort of circular way. You can see the dip in the churchyard where the old wall on the outside of it. Now, anything else you want to know? The Royal Coat of Arms, put there about 1674 actually. That's been restored.